In this video, we are going to be looking at the true crime story of Uduak Akpan, an undergraduate of the University of Uyo in Akpan State in the southern part of Nigeria, and how he lured Inebong Umoren, a female philosophy graduate from the University of Uyo, with fake job interview and raped her to death. It all started in April 29, 2021, when Miss Inebong Umoren went missing after she was lured out of her home in Uyo with a fake job interview by Uduak Akpan. The victim's friend, Miss Omo, said she heard her scream for help when she established contact with her on the phone. She sent me a 1-second audio record on WhatsApp, and I had to call her back to know if she wanted to say something to me. But immediately I called her, I heard her screaming. Miss Omo had tweeted during the search for the slain woman, Miss Inebong Umoren. Several Nigerians have raised alarm on Twitter to see how they could track the missing woman's location or uncover the identity and location of the person she went to meet. The police later exhumed Miss Umoren in a shallow grave on 30th April 2021, a day after she was raped and killed at Mr. Uduak Akpan's family compound. Her gruesome murder ignited international and nationwide outrage over increasing rape cases in Nigeria. Miss Inebong Umoren, before her death, was a fresh philosophy graduate of the University of Uyo in Akpan State. She was waiting for her deployment for the mandatory National Youth Service Corps NYSC program when the tragedy happened to her. Miss Inebong Umoren did not live to see her mobilization letter for the program or even her final year results. She graduated as one of the top students in her department. The State High Court in Uyo, Akpan State, later sentenced Uduak Akpan to death after finding him guilty of raping and murdering a female job seeker, Inebong Umoren, in the state in April 2021. The judge, Basi Nkanang, in his judgment said the convicted man will be put to death by hanging. The presiding judge, Justice Basi Nkanang, also found Uduak Akpan guilty of rape and sentenced him to life imprisonment. The judge said the prosecution has proven beyond doubt that this is indeed a case of rape and murder against Uduak Akpan. The presiding judge, however, discharged and acquitted the father and sister of Uduak Akpan, who were the second and third defendants in the case. After the judge read out the judgment, the convicted rapist attempted to escape from the courtroom but was overpowered by security officials. The presiding judge, Basi Nkanang, took over 2 hours to finish reading the judgment. The convict, Uduak Akpan, first appeared in court on 26 July 2021 and pleaded guilty to murder and not guilty to rape. The court, however, entered a not guilty plea for the murder of Miss Inebong Umoren. The Attorney General of Akpan State, Uko Udom, who led the prosecution team, told reporters saying, for a capital offense, an accused person pleading guilty is neither here nor there. As far as the law is concerned, he is not guilty until we, the prosecution, prove our case. So, if an accused person plead guilty in a capital offense like this, the court normally would enter a plea of not guilty for him, he stated. Mr. Uduak Akpan later made a U-turn during his trial and denied raping and killing Miss Iniobong Umoren. He told the court that he had a fever the day he pleaded guilty and that it was the influence of his IPO in the court that made him plead guilty. He also denied the confessional statement he made to the police and added that a similar statement he made to the State Security Service (SSS) was done under duress. But Mr. Ama Okeke, a core data analyst with the State Security Service, who testified before the court, presented a video recording of Mr. Uduak Akpan's interview session, which counters his claim. The court admitted the video as an evidence. Mr. Ama Okeke also told the court that from the agency core record analysis, Mr. Uduak Akpan and Ms. Iniobong Umoren were at the same cell record and location in Nong, Ikono Obio, in Uruan local government area of Akwa Ibom State before her gruesome murder. He further told the court that the SSS investigations led to the arrest of Mr. Uduak Akpan's sister, Ms. Basi Awan, who is the third accused person. Ms. Basi Awan was arrested in Calabar, Cross River State. Beside his confessional statement to the police and the SSS, Mr. Uduak Akpan, while he was paraded at the police headquarters in Uyo, told reporters how he lured and killed the victim, Ms. Iniobong Umoren. Watch the video and hear for yourself.
Very scared to do that because I thought maybe the whole scenario would be misunderstood.
So initially, what was your motive? Before you asked her to come to get the job, what was your motive? What was in your mind initially?
Well, initially I used reverse psychology on her because I've had very bad experiences with runs girls and with prostitutes. So I used reverse psychology on her. I asked her whether she can work in a farm where hard drugs are kept, and she accepted. She even told me that she takes marijuana and cocaine. So I felt that that's the best way to revenge on the prostitutes and runs girls. Because of the prostitute. No, I don't. I used to. I don't.
Now, how do you feel about what you've done? What you've done, you are before the whole world. How do you feel?
I'm not happy about it, but I believe that the Commissioner of Police is working with his men, and he has assured Nigerians, he has assured Akwa Ibomites and the entire world that justice will take its course. So you guys should just hold on and wait and see.
Your father be not there when this thing happened?
No, he wasn't around.
How about your sister?
They are not aware. No.
Are you remorseful? Give us a name. Are you remorseful of the entire?
Yes, I'm
But
remorseful.
you don't sound and look remorseful.
You said if
you said
justice should prevail. Now, if why did you kill her? Why did you kill her?
Look at the camera.
It was not intentional. I can say it was out of self.
What do you mean?
What do you mean by self-defense? Look at me.
Because she...
Okay, Frank. Tell us what happened.
What happened? Yes.
Not really. Just give us. Let us know what happened on that day.
Very sharp one. Be loud.
What happened was that she came for a supposed job interview, which I used reverse psychology on her. I asked her whether she can work in a farm. I asked her whether she can work in a farm where hard drugs are kept. I asked her whether she can work in a farm where hard drugs are kept as a secretary, and she said that she can, that she's ready to do the job. So when she came, I revealed to her that this farm doesn't exist. There's no farm like that. It was just a hoax. Let me put it that way. So then I told her that before she leaves that I would like to have sex with her, and she agreed, but she gave a condition that I should use a condom, which I did, and while I removed the condom, she became furious and she took the nearby stabilizer to hit me on my head, and then she beat my left ring finger and tried to reach for the door, screaming and tried to reach for the door. So while I was bleeding, in a bid to stop her, I used the stabilizer to hit her, and when I hit her, she fell and started bleeding. Then thereafter she died.
So where did she hit you?
On my forehead.
What did you do?
This is a wound on my forehead.
And how come? You said she agreed to have sex with you and you used a condom.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she started to attack you. How did it happen?
I said that while I was about removing the condom, she became furious.
Why did you want to remove the condom? Why did you want to remove the condom?
You injured her on her head. What did you use to hit her?
What did you use to hit her?
The same stabilizer she used to hit me.
At what point was she shouting, screaming for help?
When I tried to remove the condom.
But you didn't use only stabilizer, you used something else. Say it.
Okay, that was an iron, a pressing iron.
Where did you use to hit? Where did you hit her?
On her abdomen part, while she was biting me, because she held my pinky finger. She was biting this pinky finger. So the only way I could stop her was to.
Was she your first victim?
Yeah.
No.
So how many
persons in that process?
Killed? I've not killed anybody. She's the only one I've killed.
How many victims have followed? How many girls
have you done? Have you used that same way?
Whether they died or they did not die? How many so far?
The same reverse psychology.
Yeah, how many?
About six of them.
What of that NYC for school shoes you have?
The NYC shoes is the shoe my mom used when she was in NYC that we use for farming. The shoe is used for farming in the house. It's not a copper shoe. It's not as if a copper came and.
How did your father assist you in this case?
He did not assist me in this case.
Do you live in that house?
So who helped you to bury her?
Nobody helped me.
Did you hypnotize her with any substance?
No.
The number of exercise books and textbooks that are in that compound, who owns them?
Those exercise books, those nursery and primary and secondary exercise books are owned by I and my sisters.
There are several names on them. None of it is your own name. Who are those people? Those names are not yours.
Several names. Different names.
There are no different names on them. If you open them, you see either my name or my sister's name.
How about the red gown? The red gown in the room. Who owns it? There's a red gown in the room. In one of the rooms.
A red gown?
Yes.
Question. Why did you go into there?
I can't.
What's their level of education?
I'm a university student.
What level?
Obong University.
Did you graduate or you
what subject? What course? What level?
Public administration.
How old are you?
Yeah, 3.
How old are you?
20 years old.
What's your relationship with Gufrefion?
Gufrefion is my cousin.
And how did he help in this whole thing?
He did not help. He didn't help.
You called him on that day. What's the subject of conversation you had with him?
That was when I was coming back from Calabar, because initially in the morning I went to Calabar. So while I was coming back, to submit myself to the police, he was the one that picked me up together with the DPO.
What's your conversation with him? What were you discussing?
Now, how do you feel about what has happened? Hello, dear.
My conversation with him, was very short and simple. He texted me the number of the DPO of Iran that I should call him when I arrive with you. So I called the DPO of Iran when I arrived with you, and then I met with them and they picked me. They picked me in Kufre's vehicle.
Where did they pick you?
At Shelter Africa Junction.
This tragic incident began in April 2021 when Miss Inyobongo Moren, a graduate of philosophy from the University of Uyo, attended what turned out to be a fake job interview in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom state capital. The victim's friend had said she had heard her scream for help when she established contact with her on the phone. As a result, a virtual search party deployed by Nigerians with the Twitter hashtag #FindInyomoren to locate her went viral. The events led to widespread outrage. The man who raped and murdered her, Mr. Uduak Akpan, was later caught, and after 9 months of trial with his co-accused, including his father and sister, it's Judgment Day, and this crowd outside who couldn't get into the courtroom wait anxiously for the outcome. And soon the verdict is in. Mr. Uduak Akpan has been found guilty and sentenced to death by hanging. The convict attempted to escape after the sentence.
The first accused person has been convicted, found guilty of murder and found guilty of rape. In respect of murder, he has been sentenced to death and he will be hung by the neck until he be dead. In respect of rape, he has been sentenced to life imprisonment. And those are the current situation of the law in Nigeria, and we thank the court for doing that.
The trial started on the 4th of November and ended on the 4th of, and judgment came on the 4th of August. It's simply brilliant, and we thank the court for that.
The victim's siblings welcome the judgment.
God was meant to stand for common people, and by the grace of God, what you have seen today, it makes us have that boldness that we still have a good government today. We are very happy. I am happy. My family is happy. My sister there in the grave is very happy that at the end of the day, she has found justice.
The defense lawyer also comments on the outcome of the case.
If you followed up the judgment, you will know that the court have done justice to the case. Justice in the sense that those that are supposed to be convicted, or the person that is supposed to be convicted was convicted, and the other two defendants that were not supposed to be convicted, they were discharged and acquitted accordingly. So that is the justice of the case.
Meanwhile, the convict's father, Frank Akpan, and sister, Basi Anwan Akpan, were discharged and acquitted by the court. The verdict should hopefully deter others contemplating such heinous crime to have a rethink.
Family members, friends, and colleagues of Inyoboren converged on a hometown in Nong-Ita Ikoresian Uruk-Anam local government area of Akwa Ibom State for the burial of the 26-year-old job seeker allegedly murdered by one Uduak Akpan on April the 29th, 2021. After a funeral service cut short by rain, her body is taken in a hearse to its final resting place, and it is at that point that reality dawned on sympathizers. And then the tears flowed freely as they couldn't hold themselves together. After the burial, some of her friends speak about her.
I was expecting to come for a marriage. I did not expect to come for a burial, but it is well.
Very studious, very intelligent. This can be seen in a recently published result. For students in philosophy to have 4.1 or a CGPA of 4.12, you know what it means. It goes a long way to tell you that she was not somebody who would take her studies for granted. She was very studious, and she was somebody who had so many friends. We all knew her in the campus. At all times, Inyoboren was always seen either in the library or in our classes.
Elsewhere in the state capital, Uyo, the Akwa Ibom Police Command moved to deny reports making rounds in the social media that the suspect responsible for her death had committed suicide while in custody. Addressing journalists while parading him and his father, the State Commissioner of Police says the suspect is in custody.
The man who is said to be dead is sitting down here, and maybe you will be able to interact with him too. It's most unfortunate that the social media that is supposed to be an advantage to the police and to the citizenry has become a tool that is being used to vilify even the police and the government.
Meanwhile, the suspect and his father were also allowed to speak to journalists.
I asked her whether she can work in a farm where hard drugs are kept as a secretary, and she said that she can, that she's ready to do the job. So when she came, I revealed to her that this farm doesn't exist. There's no farm like that. It was just a hoax. I'm not happy about it, but I believe that the Commissioner of Police is working with his men, and he has assured Nigerians, he has assured Akwa Ibomites and the entire world that justice will take its course.
With Iniubong now buried, the next step is for the police to do the needful by charging the suspect to court for the case to be settled once and for all.
In his testimony before the court to justify his son's innocence, Mr. Frank Akpan, the father of the convict, told the court that his son Uduak Akpan had a mental disorder and was an outpatient at the University of Uyo Teaching Hospital. While Basi Awan, in her testimonies, admitted that her brother Uduak Akpan visited her, but she stated that at the time of the visit, her brother was accused of kidnapping Miss Iniobong Umoren from what she had learned from Facebook, according to her. She told the court that she had asked her brother to go back to Uyo and clear his name. However, Barrister Samson Abdullah, a lawyer from the Legal Aid Council, provided a free legal service to Mr. Uduak Akpan. Barrister Samson Abdullah, while adopting his final written address, prayed the court not to rely on weak facts presented by the prosecution. Rather, they should discharge and acquit his client. He asked the court to disregard Mr. Akpan's confessional statement because there was no witness to testify that his client committed the murder. However, on the case of Uduak Akpan's father and sister, Mr. Frank and Miss Basi Awan, Barrister Samson Abdullah urged the court to discharge and acquit them because there were no evidence before the court that the two knew that Mr. Uduak Akpan was being accused of murder. He had argued that at the time Mr. Uduak Akpan visited her sister in Calabar, his alleged offense was kidnapping and not murder. The prosecution counsel, Barrister Friday Etim, a deputy director of the public prosecution in the Ministry of Justice in Akwa Ibom State, had reminded the judge how Mr. Uduak Akpan pleaded guilty to the charge of murder but not rape on his first court appearance in July 2021. Barrister Friday 18 had also drawn the court's attention to the fact that the prosecution counsel had proven that there was communication between Mr. Frank and her daughter Basi Awan via text message on the day of the incident. The court had admitted the phone and text message as an evidence. After 1 year of trial in court, on 4th August 2022, the court discharged and acquitted Mr. Frank Akpan and Basi Awan, the father and sister of the suspect, and set them free, while the main suspect, Uduak Akpan, was found guilty of rape and murder. He was sentenced to life imprisonment for rape and then sentenced to death for murder.